folks, this is the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show, where we talk about real life real estate situations, where we bring you real life real estate solutions. I'm your host, Glenn Glasper, affectionately known as Mr. Dollar Out of the Dime. And my guest today is none other than the esteemed, the ravishing, the amazing, the awesome, the talented, the wonderful peach of Peachtree, Miss Eboni Killian.
Oh, thank you, Glenn.
Well, thank you for being on the show today. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. I know there's a million other things.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to get right into it. I want to give you an opportunity to tell the folks who you are, and then we'll, kind of talk about what you got going on. I'm excited to talk about, the program that you're working on and some of your projects that are coming up in 2021. So go ahead and share with the folks who you are.
Well, I am Eboni Killian, better known as the Peach of Peachtree. I am a native Atlantan, a native Georgian, been here all my life. Been in real estate for about 10 years now. Been licensed as a real estate agent and realtor for 10 years since 2010. Started investing and in real estate full-time around 2017. So basically my niche is wholesaling. Learned how to wholesale about 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. Liked it and kind of stuck with me. So that's me in a nutshell.
Got it. So you liked wholesaling. I think we all like wholesaling because it was kind of an easy way to make some money.
Yeah.
But tell me, what did you like most about wholesaling when you got started with it?
So if you compare, and I actually learned how to wholesale out of a fix and flip. I took Flipology 101 with Ramon Tukes, his fix and flip. And the part that I liked is that, I didn't have to chase contractors in a project that might take, in a fix and flip project that might take you anywhere from 120, 180 days to complete, to get what, $25,000, $30,000 of profit. I could have wholesaled that many deals and made the same amount, and I don't have the headaches with contractors or anything. So that's kind of why I stuck with wholesaling.
Listen, that's what I love about you, because you are consistent. I remember you said that before.
Absolutely.
So wholesaling, so you prefer to do, I guess it's safe to say that you would prefer to do wholesaling. So the whole contractor thing and staying away from that, and you said within the amount of time that it would take to do a fix and flip, you could have done that many deals in wholesaling.
Right.
So would you say that wholesaling is of course it's your preference of investing. What would you say to the fix and flipper, somebody like myself or Ramon Tukes, about whether or not, or what would you say is the best entry level? Would you say it's wholesaling to get started?
I think wholesaling is the best entry level, but if you take a look at it too, your fix and flip investors need wholesalers to bring them good deals. So kind of work hand in hand with each other. So for you fix and flippers like you, Ramon, and a couple of key other ones here in Atlanta, you become great clients for me, get great customers, because you're always looking for a really good deal. So as long as I can supply the deal for you and make sure you're making money on the end, I'll wholesale all day.
Right. Now, I know we're going to get into talking about how wholesalers and agents can work together, and I know you're really big on that. What would you say is kind of an easy relationship between a wholesaler and a fix and flipper?
So a seller and an investor, an easy relationship. I am truly big about transparency. And I think the best sellers for an investor are those that are not necessarily a distressed property, but a distressed homeowner. You've got an issue that you need a solution to, and I think investors bring they can bring an array of solutions for you, and it can be a win-win for the homeowner and the investor.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you provide to like a fix and flipper? What type of information do you provide to them when, I guess, sharing a deal with them? I mean, do you tell them give them ideas on what could be fixed up and, what it's going to cost? I mean, do you provide that type of information?
So basically what I will provide for my investors, my fix and flip investor clients, I know how to analyze a deal just as if I'm going to actually be the fix and flipper myself. I know how to estimate repairs. And I kind of give them a snapshot of, how much it's going to cost them to get into the project, approximately, because I don't like to give true estimates, but approximately how much, it will take to rehab it. And because I am a realtor, I can actually give them the ARV, which is the after repair value, which is how much it will, be worth once you do your repairs and put it on the market to sell. So basically kind of give them a snapshot of what it's going to take to do the project, approximately how long, and then what their end profit may be. And that's really what they're interested in, to see what their profit is going to be.
Do you think it's important to know that information? I mean, things that you mentioned as a wholesaler, I mean, the repair cost and, what the ARV is and what they would potentially make. Do you think it's important to know that information as a wholesaler?
Oh, I absolutely think it's key because, and I'll give you a situation. If an investor, a fix and flipper like yourself, you contact me and say, hey, Ebony, this is what I'm doing. I'm fixing properties. I'm, going in, doing the rehab, whether it be a full gut rehab or just a cosmetic update. And this is the return that I'm looking to get. If I bring you deals and not know how to analyze them and not know what you're looking for, eventually you're going to stop coming to me for deals, right? So I think it's key that all wholesalers know how to analyze a property.
Okay, great stuff, great stuff. So what would be the ideal, I mean, what would you say some ideal skills that a wholesaler should possess? Whether getting into the business, whether they've been in the business, what are some ideal things that we should know as wholesalers, being wholesalers in the business of real estate?
Some of the key things and the ideal things that wholesalers need to do is to, one, recognize a deal. And keep in mind also that your fix and flipper investor client is not your only client that you can wholesale to, right? We are in, an era where a lot of people are looking to be landlords. A lot of people are looking for that retirement portfolio and that rental portfolio and just really want to, they may have a 9-to-5 job and got some money saved in a 401k and just really want some passive income. So that client may not do a fix and flip, but they may want to be a landlord. So the key thing for a wholesaler is to be able to recognize the deal, I think.
Wow. And I think, I had the privilege and the honor to be able to share the panel with you at the Think Realty Conference.
Right, that was fun.
Yeah. I think you did mention something like that, knowing the different exit strategies and, having that information as an important skill, the important knowledge for them to have. So, and we talked about, and I'm gonna get into, we get into the area of some of the tools that they should have. But I want to go back to where we originally started when we discussed a little bit about the importance of a wholesaler being able to work with a real estate agent. How does that relationship come together? I mean, I know you're both. You're the total package.
Right.
But how would you help a wholesaler and a real estate agent or investor or realtor? I'm sorry, a realtor. I want to make sure I say it right.
Right.
A realtor and a wholesaler. How would you help them work together?
So that's a great question, Glenn. And a lot of times, the age-old myth is that we're in competition with wholesalers, right? The truth is that wholesalers will actually do a lot of the work that realtors don't want to do. But I think across the country, if you think about it, everybody in real estate, our industry has the same problem. We don't have enough inventory, right? It's not enough inventory listed in any MLS, but we've got buyers that are qualified and we've got investors that want to invest. So a wholesaler, if you're a realtor and not a wholesaler, that is a perfect, combination. Of course, realtors cannot pay a commission to wholesalers, but if you supply me a lead, you know, we buy leads all day. We buy leads off Zillow. We buy leads on different platforms. We can purchase leads from a wholesaler to fulfill or have that solution for low inventory.
Wow. Okay. So you can buy leads from a wholesaler.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So, and you mentioned one thing that I think that's key that maybe not a lot of people are familiar with. You said realtors can't pay a fee to a wholesaler.
A commission.
A commission. Okay.
Right.
So, and I understand exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
So because I said fee.
Right.
So I want you help the folks understand the difference between what we would consider a fee and a commission. How would that work for a wholesaler to work with a realtor to be able to collect either? Well, you can't pay a commission, but how would it work for them to?
So basically, as long as your lead generation, because your wholesaler is providing you a lead, right? As long as your lead generation fee is the same for that particular wholesaler, you can pay that wholesaler a lead generation fee. Now, that is up to, and it's a negotiation between the wholesaler and the realtor, how much that lead generation fee will be. But you know, that is everything's negotiable, right?
Yes.
And at closing, you know, your wholesaler can get their lead generation paid.
Okay, good, good. That's good to know because I know oftentimes wholesalers, that's one of the things that they run into. You know, because you know many wholesalers attempt to try and wholesale leads off the MLS. You know, when we're clearly looking at market, we'll call them off market, air quote, off market properties.
Right.
Some will attempt to try and wholesale.
That word off market. That word off market. Real weight for investors. I mean,
it is.
You know, yeah. So, and that brings me to another point.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
how you can have a relationship for a wholesaler. They're bringing off-market leads. An investor, I think for the investor, they feel like if it's off-market, they've got the first dibs on it, right? Nobody else has seen it. So that word off-market holds its weight in gold.
Yeah.
It does.
So let me ask you this, because many times, because yeah, we know a lot of what we look at is primarily off market as investors.
Right.
Would you say with the way that there are many different people that have come into the business of wholesaling or real estate, you know, by way of wholesaling, would you say that there are many people who are kind of, you know, looking, well, I won't say fight, well, I say fighting for the same leads. So are off-market properties, would you say in your experience, are they as viable in a sense as any other, we'll say on-market properties?
Well, I'll say now because you have everybody that's wholesaling and you have those that are wholesaling that aren't educated and know, you know, you may get the same, and I get it all day long too. You know, I get a couple of properties that are the same property from 2 or 3 different wholesalers at 2 or 3 different
That's
places.
never happened to you.
Glenn, I think I got one of your properties that you work with.
That's never happened to you. You never got a property that 3 different people had with 4 different prices.
Right. I've gotten it all. I've gotten a property that wasn't the owner didn't even know it was for sale.
So let's talk about that. I was hoping that we get a chance to talk about that because that was hilarious.
Yes.
Let's share that experience with the folks that are watching. Kind of walk us through what happened with that particular deal.
So, of course, you know, because I'm an avid wholesaler, so I'm always looking, right? And I told you I'm a native Atlantan, but I grew up in Decatur. So Decatur is kind of one of my stomping grounds. I don't live in Decatur anymore, but my parents do. So I'm, you know, searching for properties to live, you know, to wholesale, and I get a call or an email, I can't remember which it was, about this wonderful property in Decatur. It was perfect. And I want to say we communicated via text message. They told me who they were. They gave me the address of the property. They gave me the lockbox code of the property. But before, and I think what is, key for wholesalers to really understand, even when they get leads in, I always do research on leads, and I never go to a property, by myself. So I'm doing, the research, I'm researching property taxes, and I come across your name. I said, oh, so let me just call the owner and say, hi, I didn't know you were selling this particular property. And your response was, neither did I. And that also goes to a little bit about relationship building and knowing your market, knowing the key players, because that could have potentially turned out to be a really, really bad experience. Because if I had made an offer to the person that sent it to me, and let's say we had gotten a close and you had no idea.
Right. And and it's so funny because when you contacted me, you said, are you selling this property? I had no intention of selling that property at all. So, and the only idea, because I was working, I was working with a student on some other deals at the time.
Right.
I was thinking of having them, if we didn't come across another property, having them purchase that property from me and let them, that be their project. But at the time, I hadn't even gotten that far yet.
Just had a lockbox on the door.
it had a lockbox on the door. And the only person that had gone to that house was someone that was looking at the plumbing for me. Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, a contractor. I know this person, but we didn't have a relationship. I know him, but we didn't have a relationship. So, and he was the only one that had the lockbox code, besides my son.
Right.
My son was actually working with me. And I'm like, and the lockbox code was my son's birthday. So I'm like, who else would know what this lockbox code was? So when you told me they gave you the lockbox, like, how did that happen? But sure enough, when you sent me the information from your stellar research that you did, I think you sent me the person's name and the email and all the other stuff that they said.
Right.
I never heard of that person. Funny story though. I ended up selling the property to someone else.
Right.
I probably owe you a commission on that because you gave me the idea. Because I never even
Okay. So I'll send you an invoice, Glenn.
I know, right? I never even thought of selling that property until you called me, and I said, you know what? Let me just put it back out there and see what happens. And I actually sold it for more than what they were trying to sell it to you for.
Right.
Yeah,
but that brings up a key point too, though. Like when you wholesaling, I think, is a great entry level into investing, but you gotta know what you're doing, and you gotta know. I think it's important to know the key players because, like I said, that could have potentially been, turn out really bad. And I am one of those that are anal, and I'll do the research to find out, who's the owner and everything. One, I want to know that, they have a contract on the property, right? That's bringing it, and they are actually the contract holder. I don't really like to do a lot of JVs or daisy chains with wholesalers. I will JV with those that can actually prove that they have the contract with, the homeowner. And I'm one that's not real concerned about what the initial wholesaler is making, as long as there's profit for, me and my end buyer. It's all good for me.
And that's very important. I mean, I'm glad you made that point because I think that's where a lot of the disconnect happens when wholesalers are doing business, and they get in these situations where they're co-wholesaling, daisy chain. We'll put clean word for daisy chain. They're co-wholesaling, and they haven't done enough of the detailed research to know how many people are involved in finally getting that transaction done. And again, relationships and again, like you said, knowing who's doing what and who's really doing what is kind of important, so that if you run into a situation like that, how to handle it.
Right.
Yeah. I can see you now.
I know my light was going out.
Yeah. So that, I mean, that was a very interesting experience. So for someone that would come across a situation like that, where they ran into a property. Now, of course, not everybody's, as wise and as smart as you are to do that type of research.
Correct.
But what would you say to a wholesaler who came across a situation similar to that, where it's been marketed in a few different places?
Mhm.
How would you tell them to handle that situation if they came across a deal that they could potentially co-wholesale with someone?
So I always, the very first thing that I did when I started wholesaling is I really researched the team. And what I mean is there are key people on my team. I've got, other wholesalers that I will JV with, but another key person in a wholesale transaction is an investor friendly closing attorney, right? That can do double closings or assignments. And I researched for a closing attorney that can do a soft title search for me. Um, on a wholesale deal, and basically she'll just follow the chain of title, um,
Mm-hmm.
and let me know. And I usually like to have that done within my due diligence period. So
Mm-hmm.
I can contractually get out of it if I need to.
Right, right. Good stuff. I mean, that tells you how many of these people that are on this contract or these several different contracts are actually the ones that are truly um,
Truly.
involved in the transaction. And I think it's okay. I mean, I think there's a way to do that. It just
Yeah.
has to be clean. It has to be clean. And I think many times people, as you mentioned, a very valid point, that there are wholesalers and there are those that are uneducated in how to do
Right.
the business. Do. So let's get back to this topic of how agents and wholesalers can live together in perfect harmony. We'll call
Right.
it that.
Right.
What would you say I mean, tell us how you would actually help coordinate a situation like that, because I know you're working on a course, and I know that's going to be part of what you'll be sharing.
Correct.
What is an ideal relationship between a wholesaler and a realtor?
So an ideal relationship for a wholesaler and a realtor would be, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier on the show, a lot of realtors don't want to do the work that a wholesaler would do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you can, and anything that's negotiable, you can create a win-win arrangement or a win-win partnership to where your wholesaler, for an ideal, so let me go back and say an ideal relationship, if I didn't wholesale or if I didn't have time to do as much wholesaling and I just needed, properties for investor clients, the whole definitely need to know how to analyze a deal, definitely know how to get in there and get it under contract, um, and be able to provide the deal for me. And that way, I can provide the buyers. And you mentioned just a minute ago about ways to JV, or there are ways to JV with wholesalers. A lot of times, sometimes, you'll have a deal that comes through, and of course, the wholesaler is looking to make their fee, right? So they want a buyer to bring, or want you to bring a buyer or a buyer to buy their contract on that property. And they get the middle fee as their fee. But a lot of times, they're not willing to share their profit.
Mm-hmm.
If you're upfront with me and if you're transparent, I have clients when I have my realtor hat on and I have investor clients that I'm looking for properties for. I can sometimes get my commission from my investor client, but you just got to let me know where you are in the transaction so that I know. Sometimes I'm able to do it. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm looking to, okay, do you have enough spread to be able to go 50-50?
Mm-hmm.
Who wouldn't want to go 50-50 if you don't have an end buyer and you're coming to me for an end buyer?
Say 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing.
That's what my grandma always told me. So,
Right.
but there are ways to do it. And I love working with wholesalers. Okay, let me go back. I love working with educated wholesalers that actually know how to wholesale and that actually know what a deal is. Because I have several investor buyers that are looking to buy. And sometimes it's more investor buyers than I have time to go out and search for properties myself for.
Mm. Good stuff. Good stuff. And that's the thing. I think what gets lost in translation as far as the education
Mhm.
goes is many times wholesalers, they have this one track, you know, a lot of times they're taught this one track idea of how to do the business of wholesaling. And they figure, okay, I gotta locate the leads, I gotta do all this and do this, and I gotta do everything to get this done. As opposed to working with someone like yourself who can help with mending all of those things in between, as far as, you know, helping. They can probably learn how to analyze a deal from someone like yourself who's a realtor that knows how to wholesale.
Correct.
That could be a great part of how they get that education. And then not only that, you have buyers. I mean, who wouldn't think that a realtor has buyers already, at least either for retail or for investment? So that would be an ideal situation for a wholesaler, you know, seek out someone like yourself to help with getting that process done. But I think the one track mindedness is where they look at, they
Yeah.
have to make a specific fee, and when they get someone
Yeah.
else involved, they figure they're going to lose something rather than
Yeah.
gain something.
And that is the unfortunate part. Like I said, I will wholesale all day. I love it. I don't necessarily like tracking down contractors, which is why I prefer to wholesale. But that's the one way to look at it, because the one thing that realtors know, or most realtors know how to, is we can use the MLS and find cash buyers, right? So you
Yes.
bring me a property in an area, and I have the tools that are granted to me because I'm a realtor, that I
Yes.
can go in and find cash buyers in that area. So that's another key piece of how it could be a win-win, relationship or partnership. I think I mentioned it on, sorry about that. I think I mentioned it on Think Realty, where I love using RPR, and RPR allows me to have a team of 3. So if I partner with a wholesaler that I truly trust and truly learn, I can put the wholesaler on as my assistant in RPR, and I can show them how to do research, and that be their job. Just find distressed property. Here you go. Here's how to do it. While I'm over here working this other business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to talk about that RPR thing. I
Yeah,
still haven't looked.
I'll have to teach you and be how to do that, because she can put you on as a partner so that you can go in, and it's nothing, it's free for realtors. National Association of Realtors provides it for all realtors. So if you have a license and you are a member of a board, you have RPR for free. So I'd love to show you all how to do it. I do some RPR training, but I'll show you guys how to do it, and you can maximize on finding. You can even find cash buyers in RPR.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I'm familiar with how to do that in MLS. I've never heard of RPR. Tell folks, what is RPR? Okay, for those that may be a little, may want to know what that is.
Realtors Property Resource.
Okay.
And it is a software or provided by the National Association of Realtors. All realtors have a free account with it. I love it because I can, even if I wasn't wholesaling, I can put in an area, and it will tell me, it will analyze that area for me and tell me, the top 3 types of buyers in that area, what they're looking for, how much the average income is, the age range, a lot of data that I can use, to get business. So I love it.
Great stuff. Great stuff. I want to give a shout out to a couple folks that's joining us. Michael Marks, Mr. Steve Hester, Chris Monroe, Mr. Stay Woke himself. Terry Gleaton mentioned earlier, she said, rentals, buy and hold all day long for the long game. That's real stuff. Buy and hold
Yeah.
all day long game.
Yeah.
And I do want to mention, for those that are watching, if you have questions, please feel free to go ahead and put those in. And it says, Ebony, please forward your contact information to me when done. We will certainly be doing that, sharing her contact information. So stick around, Miss Carrie Brown, so we can get that for you. I hope that's Miss Carrie Brown. I don't have a picture there. Or it's a picture, but I can't tell if it's a male or female.
Or your glasses.
I know, right? You weren't supposed to tell on me. Because you can tell I can't see that right. Like, oh, I hope I got the words right. So, and talking about this, it's obviously a benefit for realtors to learn how to become wholesalers.
Or work with them if you don't want to do the hustle and bustle of because I will say, even though a wholesaling is an entry level to investing, it's a lot of work. And if you have a system, you know, and you can't put a system together and automate a system, it becomes a lot of work. So for the realtor that doesn't want to do that work up front, find you a really good wholesaler to partner with, and that is a win-win partnership that can take you, you know, that truly scale your business.
Well, and here's the thing. Well, first of all, let me say, Mr. Carey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mr. Carey. He said it's Mr., so please forgive me. But I do want to say, just as important as you mentioned earlier, for wholesalers to know the benefits of working with realtors, it's obvious. It's apparently important for realtors to know the importance of being able to work with wholesalers.
Absolutely.
Now you mentioned that you can learn to be a wholesaler as a realtor, or you can, as a wholesaler, become a realtor. But let's talk about a little bit of the in between. So I'm a realtor. Well, I'm not, and I don't play one on TV. So I want to make sure I clear that. This is just for illustration purposes. So
hypothetical.
Right. Hypothetical. We'll do it this way. We'll do it the real way. You're a realtor, and I'm a wholesaler.
Correct.
Yeah. So, and I want to use some of the tools that you have and use some of the benefits that you have as a realtor. Me as a wholesaler, whether I'm new or experienced, how do I approach that situation from a wholesaler to a realtor, and vice versa, from a realtor who doesn't want to, like you mentioned, doesn't want to do the work of a wholesaler? How would they come across approaching that situation to make it a win-win for both of them?
So I think it just starts with a conversation, Glenn. Knowing your key players, who your investor-friendly agents are, or your investor-focused agents are, and just start off with a conversation. Hey, listen, Ebony, I wholesale. You know, I've been wholesaling for a couple of years, or I'm getting into wholesaling. I'd like to get into wholesaling. I've taken a few courses, you know, and I think wholesaling is what I want to do. Here's what I can bring to the table. Here's what I can bring. I can bring you a off-market deal that needs work. It's a good fix and flip, or it's a good rental property. I can get it under contract. I know how to negotiate and to get it under contract with the homeowner. And I can bring you that deal. Can you help me find a buyer for it? And that is a win-win situation all day. Of course I can, because right now inventory is low. So, you know, realtors that aren't wholesalers are having to do some, you know, crafty and creative things just to find inventory, you know, sending out messages to see who's got something coming that they're getting ready to list on the market, because it truly is a seller's market right now.
It is. I have been looking for something, you know, and I'm not gonna. So I'm gonna say this, but I want y'all to be careful and listen to what I'm saying. I've been looking for something. I'm looking for almost anything, but I don't want y'all to send me anything. Because even though I'm looking for anything, I'm very selective about the anything that I'm looking for.
Right. So let's take that, Glenn. Let's take your request. You are a buyer. You are a cash buyer that can close quickly. You are looking for a property. Now you have a realtor partner that you can go to, and obviously there is nothing listed on the MLS, because if it was, you can partner and go ahead and purchase that, and it would be win-win, right? You're looking for something. You'll take just about anything. Has to make sense, right?
Right.
So now what are you looking? So my next question would be, as a wholesaler, well, Glenn, what are you looking to do with it? Are you looking to fix and flip it, or are you looking to keep it as a rental? And your answer would be?
I'm looking to keep it as a rental.
Okay. So when you tell me, that's another key piece. When you tell me what your exit strategy is, sometimes we can work backwards. for your exit strategy. Now I know kind of what to bring you so that you can make money as a landlord. And that return of investment is going to be a little bit different than a fix and flip would be. So now that I know your exit strategy, how much are you looking to spend for it?
Mm. Well, I'm looking to, and I'm taking this as my interview right
Yes,
now.
it
Well, honestly, I like to be all in. I don't know how realistic it is now, but I like to be all in at about 150,000.
Okay.
That acquisition and rehab.
What
And
type of return are you looking for?
I mean, you know, of course, I'm still of the traditional mindset of buying at 70% of ARV. So I want to
Okay.
have a gross 30% profit in it.
Okay.
And that's as a rental or as a fix and flip.
Okay.
So to give you a little bit more disclosure is even though I might approach something as a rental, depending on where it is, I may sell it on seller finance.
Correct.
So I'm still, I guess, flipping in a sense, but not from the let me list it and sell it on, put it on the market and, you know, wait for somebody to get financing.
You have a backup exit strategy, basically.
Yeah, I have a backup strategy. Yeah, yeah. So I'm looking to control everything that I purchase.
Correct.
Right. So even though I may sell it, I'm selling on seller finance so that, you know, I can still collect the income from it.
Absolutely.
Right. And, you know, and for that, I'm looking to keep it within, you know, the affordable housing range. So my all-in 150 would probably make it a $200,000 property, you know, something like that. Yeah. So
so there you go, folks. Glenn is looking. He's a cat.
So if y'all watching, yeah.
Don't send him anything, but not anything.
Right. So so let's talk about what you can provide for people. So you asked me those questions. So I imagine there may be someone that'll watch this that will be interested in knowing what you can provide for them, you know, such as deals. Do you have anything that would be available, or how would you work with them to find what they're looking for? Of course, you know, interviewing them like you did me. But I imagine you might have something that you will be ready to work with them to get done.
So I am always 24 hours a day. I will say at least 6.5 days a week. I'm always searching. And right now I do have a client. I've got to purchase 15 houses by the end of October.
I thought I was the only one that had that problem.
But and that buyer has a certain criteria that I have to stay within. However, because I'm actively searching and I'm actively looking, I do come across properties that don't meet that criteria. I'm not turning my back on those. You know, I am an investor at heart. So I'm looking at, okay, how can we make this particular one? Because I've got a seller ready to sell. How can I make this a win-win? And you know, you just said what you're looking for. There's a buyer out there. It is.
Uh-oh, did you freeze? Can you hear me? I think
It
you
is truly a
froze.
market. So what?
Okay.
Let's see. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. I think you froze for a second, but you're back
Okay.
with it.
But I'd start out with just a brief conversation, and it is kind of an interview or a consultation. What are you looking for? What's your long-term goal? What's your short-term goal? You know, and what's most important for me is how much money you got, how much money you got, can you actually close, and what type of return on your investment are you looking for? And then we can start, and then we can search, you know, today, tomorrow.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And you know, and I think that you bring to the table a very important piece of the puzzle of the business that we do, because you have several resources as a realtor. And that's the thing. Like many people, I've always had this idea that I'm never going to become a licensed agent. I'm never going to become a realtor. Now, I'll be honest. If I wasn't married to one, I probably would consider it. But because I'm married to one, and you know, she's never going to get away from me, I don't think I'll ever have to become one. But I do believe that there is some level of profitability and some level of, you know, creating different scenarios by being a licensed realtor. What would you say to folks that will be possibly considering becoming licensed?
So this is what I would say. And of course, you know, as a realtor, we are held, a lot of times people are scared to mix the two. And what I say is I like to sleep at night. I disclose upfront that I'm a licensed realtor. If I wholesale outside of the state of Georgia, I still disclose that, hey, I hold a real estate license in the state of Georgia. What that makes me have to do is I've got to tell the homeowner what their property is worth, right? You know, the true value of their property. But again, remember, I am looking for distressed homeowners, not necessarily distressed properties, but distressed homeowners. Somebody that has an issue right now that needs to be solved that I can help with. Right. So I think I love the two as long as you disclose verbally, and I also disclose on any contract that I write. So at the end of the day, the seller can't say, well, I didn't know her intentions, or I didn't know that another part of that is you have to let your broker know what you're doing. So you've got to get a broker that is okay with the wholesale piece. I just left a brokerage and I am now with Sovereign Realty and Management, who Karen Hatcher is my broker, and she is okay with wholesaling. You definitely want to make sure that you have your broker's permission, because if you are not a broker, they are responsible for any licensed realtor or real estate agent, every transaction that you do, whether it's your own, whether you have a company. People ask, well, Ebony, can I wholesale if I do it in my company's name? You sure can, but when you go out and you know, market and you put a property under contract, you've got to let them know, hey, the managing member of this LLC holds a real estate license in the state of whatever state you have it in.
Right, right, right,
So,
right. Very good stuff. So you brought me to another point that I want to make. But you said something that was key, and I want to make sure we give folks an understanding of the differentiation between a distressed homeowner and a distressed property.
mm-hmm.
Can you kind of help
Right.
us and help the folks understand the distinction between the two? Now, I mean, most people
Yes.
use common sense to figure it out, but I want to, help them see it from your perspective.
And sometimes it's not common sense, you know. People may bring a distressed property. You may have a vacant home that's a vacant home, boarded up, grass grown, but it may be the owner may be a corporation. They're not, that is a distressed home.
Right.
It needs some more. They have
Mhm.
money that they can hold, and they have bought it with the intention of holding it. So they're not a motivated seller. They're not as motivated to sell, you know, as someone who is a distressed homeowner, meaning, hey, you know what, I've got a financial crisis that has happened that I need an answer to right now. It could be, I just lost my job, I can no longer pay my mortgage, and I don't want a foreclosure on my records, so I've got to get out from under this property. Or something as simple as, I've got to relocate, I don't know what I'm going to do with this property at this point, you know, I've got to be in another state tomorrow, but I
Right.
get rid of this property, how can you help me? So
Mm.
first homeowner is someone that has, you know, a financial need, whatever it may be. Could be family, could be tax, because they can't pay the taxes, it could be a host of things. I like probate. I like properties that have been probated to, you know, heirs that had no idea that they were getting a property and have no idea what to do with it. I don't know what to do with this, I need to get rid of it, can you help
Right.
me? Absolutely, I can. So it's a difference. You know, your distressed properties are those that, of course, need attention, right? You got, it needs some type of work done to it, or it's a vacant house and it's taking the property value down. But a distressed homeowner is somebody that is in distress and needs, you know, a financial answer, and selling that property would be the answer to their and they can't wait to list it. You know, sometimes they can't wait, you know, 15, 20, 30, 45 days to put it on the market and hope to get a buyer and close.
Great stuff. Great stuff. And this leads me to the next point I was talking about making. You're very well educated. You're a very well educator. And I know that you were actually doing some training for who you were doing the training for. I got what group that was you were doing. You did the training for recently.
So I am doing a training for Be Niched. It is a group of investors, and we have a wholesaling course coming out on October 10th and 11th. But yeah,
Okay.
um, and I last month I was in Panama City and presented at Teach at the Beach. So
Wow. Wow. That sounds extravagant. When are we going back again? I mean, when you going back again?
Panama, it's every year, Glenn. So I'll let you know next year. It is every year, and it's pretty. It's a cool conference. It's located. It's always on Panama City Beach. It's not formal. You're in kind of in a relaxed mode, but you have a group of probably anywhere from 60 to 75 people that want something different. Want to save for retirement. Want some investing strategies to do, and you're just learning about investing while you're on the beach.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, so tell us about the wholesale class that's coming up October 10th and 11th.
Yes, it is October 10th and 11th. It is a how-to. I had a couple of people ask me, is it just an introductory course? Are you just going to go for an overview? It's a little bit more than an overview. I do want to say, don't be afraid to invest in yourself. Even during COVID, I've invested quite a bit in myself and honing, my skills, how I can be a better wholesaler, how I can do my job a little bit better. So don't be afraid to take to make the initial investment, but it will be, the key steps to actually wholesaling a property. It will show you the how and the how to search for distressed homeowners, how to get a property under contract, how to skip trades, and finally how to get to the closing table.
Stuff. Good stuff. So Mr. Kerry Brown asked the question, how does he find out about the probate information?
So key thing, probates, I am big on relationships, right? So I use a couple of different ways. One, I may buy and I use Law Clerk on Demand a lot, and I'll get a probate list, monthly from Deanna. I also, because I am in real estate and I do a lot of closings, I will reach out to closing attorneys who are also probate attorneys. Those are one of the key relationships you may want to, look at partnering with someone who that's going to be your first person that's going to get that property, because they've got to put it through probate. And a lot of times the family will listen to the attorney as to what to do or what the next step is. So if you have relationships with probate attorneys locally, then that's a win-win situation.
Okay. Okay. Is that something you teach on as well?
I don't necessarily dive into probate. That's just one source
Okay.
on a way to get properties or a way to find properties. That's just one of my sources.
Because those do become distressed homeowners.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, because as you mentioned, their situation is a couple of different things. They came across this property, they had no idea what they came across. And then once they get it, they still have no idea of what they have. And, they just want to get rid of it because in some cases they need to just liquidate it and get the money out of it.
A lot of times I do, and I will put out a disclaimer for probate. Probate is a very touchy subject. And I ran away from it for a while because you are still right. I'm an investor at heart, and I'm a great listener, but a lot of times, I am really just looking to get the property. With probates, you do have to have some type of empathy and approach the situation, because you are still dealing with a family member that has lost a family member. So they still may be grieving, they still may be in mourning, and it may be a hard conversation. They may know that they need to do something with the property, but they may still be grieving from the person that left it to them and not ready to talk about it. So you need to know how to, approach those situations with care and not just, hey, you got this property, can I buy it from you? Those take a little bit more sensitivity.
Mhm, mhm. So it sounds like as a wholesaler or a person involved in real estate, you have to have or wear many hats. One of them is probably looks like a psychologist, a
Yeah.
psychiatrist, got
Divorce
to have
counselor,
a divorce counselor.
uh, real partner.
Right.
But you bring up a good point. You really have to be able to. One of the things that I learned, it was the biggest thing for me, is to actively listen, right?
Mm,
You can listen, but you have to actively listen to see if what that person is going through, what that person is looking for, and how you can help that person and still be that listening ear. Because a lot of times, sometimes homeowners just want to talk.
right.
Um, but yeah, you do wear several hats.
Mm, mm. And you're right. I mean, sometimes, um, I found myself in conversations where we're talking about everything that has
Mhm.
nothing to do with the house,
Yeah.
but because listen, I mean, I think I stood outside with the lady, I think for about 3 hours. It
Hmm.
started raining, and we were still standing outside talking. I'm like, "Are you not worried about?" Okay, I'm okay with getting wet a little bit, but I don't want to stand out in the rain.
Right.
Um, Stood out in the rain and we talked, and she talked about cats, and like I think the
Mhm.
people across the street had some cats. So we had a long 3 hour conversation. She finally signed the contract.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's, I mean, you're right. You have to be able to be that listening ear to people, and not just focus on the money wholesalers.
Sometimes people, some family functions that they've had in it, you as a professional, you know, take that with empathy, and then you want to make sure that your time is valuable, right? So you want to make sure that at the end of that conversation, it's a win-win, and you are able to, put it under contract.
Yeah, great stuff. I mean, that's something that's very important. I think many people miss that part of the training, I guess, that some of them go through. Because there's oftentimes there's a disconnect between just making the money. Like most people get into the business to make the money, but in retrospect, a lot of the things that you have to do to get to the money will involve you becoming a certain person. If you're already that person, great. But if you're not that person, you have to work on becoming that person so that it's a consistent money getting situation for you. And you got to have some empathy in dealing with these things, because as you mentioned, you know there's a difference between a distressed property and a distressed seller or distressed homeowner. And in those
Right.
situations, distressed homeowner, you got to be able to be sensitive to whatever it is that they're dealing with, to help them out of the situation. Yeah,
And
great.
sometimes, man, you make a great point that sometimes the best answer at this point is, hey, you know what? Take your time. I'll follow back. Is it okay with I follow back up with you in a couple
Mhm.
of months, couple of
Yeah,
weeks?
yeah,
Um, when to, give them space and not just be like, oh, I got to get this house under contract and I got to get it under contract today, right?
right.
Sometimes dealing with situations is glad to talk to you, Mrs. Such and such. Thank you for Mr. and Miss Such Such. Is it okay that I follow back up with you in a couple of days or a couple of weeks?
Yeah. And it's great because I find that in those cases, in many of those cases, wow, and we got to understand what's happening in the world of real estate now. So many people are contacting the same person,
Right,
and often,
right.
like when you don't push them or pressure them, you eventually will become the person that they call back, because they realize that you understand that you're dealing with a person, and not just a property.
Right.
You know, good stuff, good stuff. So let's talk about how can folks get signed up for the program for October 10th and 11th. How do they get in contact with you to find out more about that?
So they can reach out to me. I am the Peach of Peach. I am the Peach of Peachtree on IG. I am Ebony Killian on Facebook. They can send me a DM. My phone number is 678-860-9408. You can shoot me a text, or you can send me a email at Eboni, and that's EBONI at thepeachofpeachtree.com.
Great stuff. Great stuff. So, and in this program, I guess, do you want to give them just a little bit of a overview of what's going to be in the program?
Sure. It is going to be your how-to. You'll get the steps. You'll be able to start to finish the how-to wholesale. At the end of the program, you will be able to get your first contract in the next 60 to 90 days.
Great stuff. Great stuff. And this is going to be, it's going to be at a certain location. Will it be virtual?
It is going to be virtual. I'm sorry. It'll be online. Yep. It is going to be virtual. And I will send out information. The cost of the class is $199. So it's very affordable. I always like to think when I'm investing in myself, if I can make 10 times that investment, within the first 90 to 120 days, you think 199 times what, 10? That's totally a doable first wholesale fee.
Well, I'll say this. $199 is a great price. But what oftentimes people miss is the value that you bring, and when you tell them what an investment is that what you're offering. So the value of what you're going to be sharing is worth 100 times more than that $199. And the thing that has to be realized is that if it's just one nugget that they take and they learn and they can use for a lifetime, it pays for itself 1,000-fold.
Absolutely.
So that's why this is a mindset thing. I love to tell mindset. Get over what the price is. If it's one thing that I know that you're going to bring some amazing value to what you're going to be offering. So if it's one thing that someone can take away from that they can use for a lifetime, it pays for itself over and over again. I feel really like I might need to pay you for being on the show today, because I learned something that's going to pay me for a lifetime.
Well, you're really big on mindset, especially your Mindset Makeover Mondays, and you're absolutely correct. Mindset is key. And you definitely have to go into this business with a different mindset. If you can shift your mindset, you can do anything. Yes.
And it's a major part of anything that we do, but especially in real estate. I mean, and I say especially because although it's a business, and that's the one thing that people miss about it. That's one thing I always say. I always say the business of real estate. People miss that it's a business because most people hear that you can just make money.
Right.
And maybe you can help me understand that. How is it? I just thought about that. How is it that people, when they hear that they can make money, they miss that it's actually a business?
Well, that is a very good question, because even for a real estate professional with a license to sell real estate, the one thing that a lot of people don't realize, and that they don't teach you in the class when you take your license, or even when you start, they just go straight to how to get that first deal, whether it's how to get that first lead or how to get that first wholesale deal. It is a business. Set it up as a business from day one. When you set it up as a business, and I like to tell people, and this is just a key thing for everybody out there listening, even especially realtors, as well as investors. Realtors, usually the last thing that we think of is retirement. We are just chasing that next deal. We're on a hamster wheel. But if you set your business up as a business from day one, you have an exit strategy that nobody else has. You can set up yourself for retirement. One day I'm gonna get sick of buyers and sellers, and I want to be on the beach not doing a doggone thing, and I can sell my business. I can sell my book of business to somebody that wants to get into business, that has capital, that wants to do this. You got a book of business that's already put together where you don't have to start from scratch. So if we set up whatever we do to make money as a business, and that includes, right, paying your taxes, making sure that you put away to pay your taxes correctly, you have the correct entities, set it up as a business from day one. There's a lot of money for small businesses too. So you set up your business correctly, you can scale.
Very, 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 very important. Very important. I mean, just thinking about setting it and thinking about being able to someday be able to sell, you know, your book of business as you mentioned, someday being able to sell that. Now, if for the folks that are watching or the folks that are listening to this later, I want to kind of give a little bit of a concept to that. You're teaching people for, you know, and I'm not going to beat this horse too much, but you're giving people an opportunity to learn from you for $199, right? So you're selling a piece of your business,
Correct.
right? You're selling them a piece of your business, the business that you invested in for your education, to be able to help them understand how to get to where you are. So to buy a small piece of a franchise for $199, the Peach of Peachtree franchise, we'll call it that, the Peach of Peachtree franchise, for a small piece for $199 for something they can use for a lifetime, you know, I mean, you got to look at the value in that. And just what you said, I don't think people will even get that. The emphasis on setting it up as a business to be able to eventually sell it one day, that is worth $199 all by itself. It took you 30 seconds to say that.
I need to hire you for PR.
Hey, I get it, you know. And that's what really this show is about, you know, is helping people to grasp, you know, that's why it's called real life real estate investing, to help people grasp the real life things that go on and what we do as we do this as a business. This is not something that we do for play, you know. This is not a hobby for us, you know. So when we talk, I mean, those of us that are educators and doing this, when we talk about offering you an opportunity, because that's what I'm going to call it, offering an opportunity to learn from me, and you just have to invest in that opportunity. It's minimal compared to what you're going to get and be able to take on for the rest of your life. So, you know, I applaud you, sister. Thank you so much for doing what you do. I might even just want to, you know, peek in on the education on the 10th to 11th, because I might get, I'm sure I can learn something, you know, from that. And that's the one thing I always have to remind myself is that no matter where you get to and what we're doing, you're always learning. You're always learning. And you know, well, that's what folks really need to understand. Don't ever think that because you pay $199, you're supposed to make $1 million in 2 weeks. You know, we've been doing this for years and we still invest in our education, you know. So it's
a forever changing industry. Glenn, you're really good about it. And some of our key players in Atlanta, we're always investing in education because, you know, that's the key. You want to scale. And you made a perfect point. You can either have an expensive hobby or a true business that can make you some money.
Real stuff. So what would you want to leave with the folks? What are some words of wisdom and some parting words that you want to share with the folks before we jump off?
Words of wisdom. Definitely, you know, don't put your words of wisdom. What I like to say is don't keep yourself in a box, right? Be uncomfortable. You have to be uncomfortable to grow. Just know that when you're in that uncomfortable space, you're only going to be in that uncomfortable space for a little bit. I had to get out of my comfort zone in order for me to grow. If you noticed, I've been doing a lot of more speaking, some videos, which is totally not my thing at all. But you've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable in order to grow. And that uncomfort won't last for long. When you get comfortable, then step into the next box that makes you uncomfortable. That's the only way you're going to grow.
I don't know what else we can say beyond that. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Glenn, for having me.
Absolutely. I want to give you an opportunity to share with the folks your contact information one more time so they can reach out to you.
Sure. You can reach me. You can follow me on Instagram at the Peach of Peachtree. Facebook, it's Ebony, Eboni, Killian. Also, my email address is Ebony, Eboni, at the Peach of Peachtree spelled out.com. And my phone number is 678-860-9408. If I can't answer, I will shoot you a text and let you know. We can set up a time to answer. So I will respond.
Very good. Very good. Again, thank you so much, lady. I appreciate you being on today. This is something we should have been doing a long time ago.
I know. But when we get together, it's always like family. So
Exactly. I know. Listen, if we were just talking amongst us, we could do this for a whole lot longer. But listen, I want to thank the folks that are watching. Thank you all for coming on. One thing I do want to say, that you did mention Lorraine Beato's book that you just read. Lorraine is actually going to be on with us next week, and she's going to for information as well.
So listen, real quick, and it's a plug, but it's not a plug for me because I don't get a dime from it. But especially for my licensed real estate agents, realtors, if you hold a real estate license, Lorraine Beato has an amazing book. It is called Flip the Switch. It is available on Amazon. She'll talk about it when she's on next week, but it is a great read on how to change that mindset into an investor mindset if you hold a license. So definitely reach out and get it.
Great stuff. I'll make sure I mention to her that you said that. And then we'll have to get you compensated for that plug too. You know how we do. We keep it flowing around here.
It's a great read. It won't take, it's easy and it'll give you some key points. So
great stuff. And you want to tell us about your book that's coming out in 2021? I'm gonna put the pressure on you.
I'm working on it. Stay tuned. Follow me.
Definitely. All right, folks, listen, thank y'all for watching. As we mentioned that we're going to have Ms. Lorraine Beato on next week talking about her book, so Flip the Switch. Got a great review already from somebody who knows what she's talking about. So definitely stay tuned and, tune in next week. This has been the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show, where we talk about real life real estate situations, but we bring you real life real estate solutions. Thank you for watching. Ebony, thank you again for being on.
Thank you for having me, Glenn. I had fun.
If you do me a favor also, if you send me a link on how they can register, I'll make sure we put that in the email when we send the replays out.
I'll send you the link, and I also do a little bit better for those of your followers that are licensed agents. I created a free blueprint for them. So I'll include that with you and a little gift from them.
Great stuff. See, listen, she giving y'all stuff for free. Oh my goodness, y'all better definitely be trying to get that. All right, lady, listen, thank you again so much for being on, and all the best to you. And we'll certainly be talking to you soon.
Thanks, Gwen. Bye-bye.